Hey everybody! Today I'm going to show you how we can make healthy candy bars. I got this recipe that was originally a Snickers bar recipe and I changed it up a little bit. I have a few different ingredients. One is I'm going to put rice cereal in as the crunchy component. So it's kind of like a Snickers bar and a Crunch bar combined into one. And these bars are so amazing and scrumptious. To me, they're better than candy bars and they're guilt-free. The sweetness comes from figs, which are really good for your health. They are low glycemic index and high in fiber. So this means that you can eat a lot of these and not have to feel bad about yourself. And they are so great for digestion, energy. They're full of vitamins and minerals. So that is what is going to make this a healthy candy bar. The other ingredients that we're going to have are butter. You could also use coconut oil or any other kind of solidified oil of your choosing. We have some maple syrup to add a little more sweetness. Some peanut butter. I have both creamy and crunchy peanut butter in this jar because that's what I had. You can use any kind. You can even use almond butter, cashew butter, any kind of nut butter will do. We got some coconut flakes and some vanilla protein powder right here. Any kind will be fine. And that'll be the first layer. We're going to mix all of that up in our Ninja, or you could use a food processor. I'm going to use a Ninja. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just going to add another one just to be sure. Then we're going to have our butter. Our maple syrup. It's such a small amount of maple syrup, but you know, it's very, very sweet, so you don't need much. Plus the dates are already extremely sweet. Now we put all of our peanut butter in there. Nice and gooey. Nice and sticky. This is going to be high protein. And I know a lot of people out there are doing that high protein diet that I was doing for a little while, and then there were just too many tempting foods in my general area, so I had to eat some. But I'm kind of thinking that I'm going to start eating healthy again. So here's some coconut flakes. You can literally just throw everything in here, and then the Ninja or your food processor will do all the hard work. So now I'll show you the consistency of this mixture for the first layer. It's very well incorporated. You don't really see a lot of chunks of fig or coconut flakes. It took a lot of elbow grease to get to this point, but it's going to be worth it. You're going to have to keep pushing that mixture down into your blender, you know, stopping and starting your blender. You definitely don't want to burn the motor in your blender by just letting it sit there. So we get it all out and put it into our 8x8 container. This is lined with parchment paper because this is going to be pretty sticky and we don't want to have any trouble getting our bars out of our pan. So you can be a heathen. I'm going to choose to be a heathen and not be all clean and prim and proper. I'm actually going to use my fingers here and just give it a little smush smush. I'll let you see what this looks like up close. So it's looking very nice. So here you can see I'm just using my fingers, and what's really interesting is because the blender had worked so hard to get this blended up and there was so much friction and so much work going into it, this mixture is actually warm. So it feels kind of good on the fingers. But that also means that my poor blender probably needs a break. I'm going to get it nice and even. The beauty in making these kinds of recipes is you can't really overmix or overwork like you would do in baking. You just kind of play with it until it's where you want it. Okay, so after you get this all nice and flattened out, you're going to put it in the freezer for 5 minutes to let it set up. And in the meantime, you're going to mix your ingredients for your second layer. Everything up for our second layer, and it's so easy. It's way easier than the first one was. We're going to have the rest of our dates. And by the way, this is going to be a caramel consistency, so it's kind of like the caramel that you'd have in a Snickers bar. You take the rest of your dates. I have about 8 dates here. Recipe calls for 7. And we're going to use a 1/4 cup of peanut butter. Lots of peanut butter. And by the way, you don't even have to clean out your blender to do this. Isn't that awesome? You don't have to waste time cleaning because it has a lot of the same recipes in the second layer. It's just a little bit different consistency. And that's what a lot of enjoyment that you get out of food is about the different consistencies, the crunch versus the soft part. We're going to get smoothness from the peanut butter. Okay, so the recipe called for 3 tablespoons of almond milk. I don't have that, so this is 3 tablespoons of water, which is going to be just fine with a little vanilla extract. And then you want to add a 4th teaspoon of salt. I'm going to add a little honey because I noticed when I made this last time, it was really hard to spread the caramel. And so this time I wanted to just make life easier for me and add something that's still going to be sticky and gooey, but help to spread it out. I've been mixing the caramel layer for about 5 minutes now, and you can see that it's very smooth and ooey gooey, and we're going to put it on the layer that was in the freezer. So here's my first layer that's been in the freezer for 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and scrape all of the caramel layer out of the blender. If you have a food processor, I think that would work a lot better for this, but we're getting a good go here. Scoop it all out. So now I'm spreading this evenly across the first layer of my bars. And you can see that there are some chunks in my caramel, and that's just because I was using a blender instead of a food processor. If you have a food processor, it'll be a lot more perfect. It'll still be yummy. Now on top of this, we're going to put our Rice Krispies. And now you could actually put peanuts, you could put toffee here, you could put yogurt, chips, I mean, you name it. Just be creative and put on what you want. And then we're going to put this in the freezer for 5 minutes. And then I'll show you how we melt the chocolate for our final top layer. Okay, this, my friends, is a double boiler. You got your water, which is only halfway to the top in the pan, and a metal bowl on top of that. This is how you can perfectly melt your chocolate without burning it. If you do it in the microwave, that's fine too, but I find it a lot easier to do a good job this way. So we're going to take a teaspoon of butter. Again, if you're trying to make something super healthy and maybe like vegan, you could do coconut oil in place of butter. So we got our butter. And this is going to give our topping a nice, shiny, pretty look. Now here's my 1 cup of chocolate. I have chocolate chips, and I also have some leftover Ghirardelli bars, which were 60% cacao, and then I also have semi-sweet chocolate chips. I just pretty much combined all the chocolate that I had in my cupboard, which I always have chocolate. As every girl should always have chocolate in their cupboard. And you want to keep stirring this until it's nice and melted, and then we'll pour it on and it'll be our final layer of our healthy bars. Starting to look nice and melted and creamy and shiny from the butter. We're almost ready to put this chocolate on top of our healthy bars. This will be like the least healthy part of our bars. Okay, that looks good. Let's get our bars out of the freezer. Blah. Let's get them out of the freezer. And we'll put the final layer on. There they are. Here we go. I've put my chocolate layer on top, and you can see it's evenly distributed on the top, and some of the Rice Krispies got mixed in, and that's totally fine. We're going to put it in the freezer for 30 minutes. So now our bars have come out of the freezer, and they are completely set up. We're going to take a knife that I have soaking in some hot water, and the reason why I have it soaking in hot water is to make it easier to cut the bars without the bars breaking. We're just going to cut them up into little squares, and I'll show you what it looks like. We've completed making our candy bars. They're so yummy. They have so many layers. Well, 3 layers. They're so delicious. Moving in silent desperation. I hope you try these at home, and your whole family will love them. They're a great snack for kids who love sweets. Crunchy, smooth. You get everything you could want in a candy bar. Until next time, have a good day. Bye.